Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, friends, to your weekly fix of...
everyone's favorite intellectual late-night talk show, Issues and Topics.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, everyone, tonight to Issues and Topics. I'm your host, Randolph Mantoothberg. This week, we've brought together two doctors to talk about hearts. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce, if I may, my guests for this evening's broadcast. First, Dr. Roberta Jarvik, the inventor of a groundbreaking new design in artificial hearts. Dr. Jarvik received her MD from the Harvard Medical School, and she did her residency at Johns Hopkins. Good evening, Dr. Jarvik.
Good evening, Randolph. Please, call me Roberta.
Thank you, Roberta, then. That's certainly easier to say than Jarvik, or indeed Doctor. Our other guest, sitting in the chair to my left in a colorful, what would you call that, a cape?
A shawl.
Yeah, correct, a shawl. Well, you are the expert in words. Folks, this is Dr. Ramona Jarrell, a poetry professor at New York University in University, New York. Dr. Jarrell received her PhD in English from Oberlin, and her latest book of poetry is entitled Searching for the Truth of the Human Heart. A very good evening to you, Dr. Jarrell.
Call me Ramona, my fellow being.
All right, then. And the two of you can call me Curious. Now, I'm curious. Have the two of you ever met before?
I haven't had the pleasure.
Nor I.
Well, you don't say, huh? That's odd.
May I ask why you find it odd that Dr. Jarrell and myself haven't met, Randolph?
Well, it's just that you're both doctors who deal with the human heart, and...
Well, we're not really the same kind of doctors, Randolph.
And I should think we deal with the human heart in quite different ways.
Well, it's my mistake. It looks like I crossed my signals there a little bit, I admit, but...
After all, I went through 4 years of medical school and another 7 in residency. I believe I've earned the right to be distinguished from a PhD.
And of course, the original meaning of the word doctor meant philosopher, so the 6 years it took me to obtain my PhD separates me intellectually from a medical doctor who, it must be said, is more concerned with the nuts and bolts of things, not unlike a mechanic.
Ooh, I seem to detect a bit of professional rivalry in the room this evening. Well, that's good for ratings at any rate. See what I did there? Now, I'd like to start with you, if I may, Roberta. You've been designing artificial hearts for some time now. Can you give us some background on these complex devices?
Certainly, Randolph. The first forays into artificial hearts occurred as early as the 1970s. In those days, doctors, perhaps somewhat unethically, would implant the hearts of chimpanzees or pigs into volunteers suffering from terminal heart failure.
The heart is never a failure, even a reptile's, though his may be scalier.
Excuse me?
I believe that's a stanza from Ramona's poetry book.
That is correct, Randolph.
A beautiful passage, I might add. But let me ask you to please refrain from interjecting at this point. We're trying to get a little more further here into the history of the artificial heart with Roberta.
My apologies to you, Randolph. If my passion for the human heart is a crime, then imprison me with tears of love.
Oh, very charming. That's very, you've got a future in greeting cards. Greeting cards.
Indeed, I don't think I should need the work. I'm a tenured professor, after all.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to insult you.
Look, can I continue, Rudolph?
Randolph.
Randolph.
Oh, by all means, I do apologize. My show here. I apologize for the digressions.
Yeah, thank you. After experimentation with the real hearts of other mammals, the first successful truly artificial heart was implanted into a retired dentist in 1982. That individual went on to live for 112 days.
Yeah, longer than any dentist should survive, really. But that's remarkable for the time. Let me say, though, in 2017, 112 days sounds like spare change. Now, what's the average life expectancy for transplant recipients nowadays?
Well, I won't sound very modest, but My latest prototype would allow an individual to live approximately 7 years after the transplant.
Well, 7 years. Now, that's quite an improvement.
And let me add, Randolph, that those 7 years need not be spent modestly. They can be filled with enjoyment and vigorous physical activity.
Vigorous physical activity?
Meaning, recipients of my latest artificial heart will not just expect to live almost an additional decade, but that decade can be filled by playing tennis or skydiving.
Well, what about bowling?
Unfortunately, no. We tried, but bowling after receiving my artificial heart isn't a good idea.
Oh, now that's a shame.
It's our hope that further grant funding will allow us to continue to develop the heart so that bowling can be included.
Well, I wish you luck with that in today's climate. Now, for 112 days to 7 years, that's a huge improvement by any standard. Tell us a little bit more about your advancements in your technique.
Well, the design of my artificial heart.
The heart is real! The heart is real! Never can the artificial one feel.
Perhaps my favorite line from your book there, Ramona, Searching for the True Human Heart.
And it rhymes, too. How quaint. Dr. Jarrell, I'm sure Randolph reserved plenty of time to speak with you about the humanities once I finish talking about important medical procedures.
Dr. Jarvik, the humanities are essential to our understanding of the heart. One cannot reserve time for them. They are urgent, crucial even, and we must needs speak of them whenever the impulse arises.
Well, I think you're both right in a way.
Dr. Jarrell, you're speaking in abstract terms. If in the field of medicine we spoke in such vagaries as those about our work, I'm confident no one would ever be healed.
You speak of healing, but what of spiritual healing? The heart must feel. Your heart cannot feel. What do you know of healing?
Maybe an artificial heart can't feel, but at least it can beat. That's more than I can say for your
Maybe let's try this. Let's switch gears here and talk a little bit about Ramona's poetry for a bit. Huh?
Oh, splendid!
Well, you did seem rather anxious to get to it.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Listen along. I mean, don't do what Ramona was doing, Collect your thoughts for when I get back to you. Hey, you know what? There's a vending machine down the hall.
Is there hot chocolate there?
I think so. It tends to be more room temperature, though. Now, Ramona.
How much is it?
What?
The hot chocolate.
You are trying to subvert my interview, Dr. Jarvik.
No, I'm not. I just want to know how much the hot chocolate is.
I think it's 75 cents.
Does the machine take credit cards?
It's cash only.
You're a doctor who invented an artificial heart that lets one go skydiving, but you don't have 75 cents.
I didn't say that, doctor. I don't carry cash, if you must know. My profession adequately compensates me, I can assure you.
But what is the value of material wealth when compared to the true riches of the soul?
You tell me, doctor. You're the one who's so worried I couldn't afford a cup of hot chocolate.
Look, can you two just... I mean, it's my show. Can you just work with me here? Can you?
Certainly.
My apologies.
Okay, deep breaths. All right, so Ramona, your earliest collections of poetry were known for their startling visceral imagery and experiments pushing the boundaries of free verse. Can you talk a little bit about your turn back towards poetry that rhymes?
Oh, it seems to me, Gandalf.
It's Rudolph.
It seems to me, Rudolph.
It's Randolph.
It seems to me, Randolph, that shocking imagery and free verse were somehow encumbering my desire to be honest and real with my audience. Returning to the earliest convention of the medium, rhyme was essential to my re-engagement with humanity.
Interesting. So you would link rhyme with honesty.
When it comes to the heart, absolutely. The heartbeat is a rhythm, and all rhythm requires rhyme.
What does that mean? The rhythm of a heartbeat requires an electrical impulse originating in the right atrium. It does not require rhyme.
Just the comment I'd expect from a medical doctor. You know nothing about the heart, and yet you call yourself a doctor.
I know that rhyming words together isn't going to heal a diseased heart.
Listen, doctor.
No, you listen, doctor.
Doctors, please. Let's take a minute here and just relax. This is, it's late night here. Let's relax. I'm afraid I've let semantics derail the train of my show a little bit here. Need I remind the two of you about Nawal el-Saadawi?
The Egyptian feminist writer and activist?
He means the Egyptian physician and psychiatrist.
That's all the same person, actually. Now, I point out Dr. el-Saadawi to show you that using the term doctor can and does apply to both the medical field and the academic world, and without contradiction. And also to illustrate that if anyone deserves to be called a doctor, it's certainly her.
That makes sense.
Dr. Jarvik, I'm sorry we got off to such a rough start.
As am I, Dr. Jarrell. But please, call me Roberta.
Only if you call me Ramona.
Well, you can call me relieved. Now that that's all resolved, let's just try this again, starting with Roberta. Now, you were about to explain the innovations to the artificial heart you designed.
Oh, looking at the time, I should probably get going.
Okay. But Ramona, then, why don't you read us a section from your new book?
Oh, Randolph, I should probably get going too. I've got a book signing tomorrow afternoon in Madison. It probably wasn't the best idea to be on the radio tonight.
But...
Right?
Share an Uber.
Sounds good. I'm not sure why I even agreed to be on a talk show that starts at 10 p.m. I have to perform a transplant tomorrow morning.
What do you think I feel? I'm your patient.
And that concludes another engaging edition of everyone's favorite intellectual late-night talk show, Issues and Topics.
As I think of it now, nobody bothered to ask me about my credentials. My radio show credentials. Gee, radio. I wonder what the competition is doing right about now. Let me tune in here and find out. Signal stretches really far. I love it. Here we go. Here's something's coming now. Here it goes. Coming to you live, except for the parts that aren't, it's the Don't Call Me Sweetheart Show. Broadcasting from the WLPN studios in Bridgeport on Chicago's fabulous South Side on the second and fourth Saturday of each month from 2 to 4 p.m. Yes, it's the Don't Call Me Sweetheart Show. Original radio for independent minds.